And welcome to another week of Burning Hearts, our 2026 Bible reading plan. This is a fascinating week in our Bible plan for a few reasons. I'll get to all of them. We're starting, though, with 2 Kings 2 and 2 Kings 17. 2 Kings 2 is a fascinating story, kind of the wrap-up of Elijah. He kind of dies but doesn't die. He kind of ascends to heaven. Kind of a wild... It's a whirlwind of a story. And then that's when Elisha is established as the next guy. Really important moment. Then in 2 Kings 17 on Tuesday, that is the story of the fall and end of the northern kingdom of Israel. They get taken into exile by Assyria. And it's super important because it's the end of the northern kingdom. That's where the majority of the tribes were located, and we never really hear from them again. And then Samaria, which was the area where the northern kingdom populated, gets repopulated by the kingdom of Assyria, and it's why it's sort of this oddball mix of black sheep cousins and Assyrians and foreigners. It's important in the history of Israel, but really as New Testament readers, it's super important because Samaria, the Samaritans, feature prominently as sort of a foil, as sort of enemies. It's part of the book of Acts has an important moment in Samaria. And so it's important background and history, and it kind of gives the reasons as to why Samaria was such a hotbed and such a contested area during the time of Jesus. But then we get to Wednesday and Thursday, we're reading from 1 Chronicles and 2 Chronicles. Now, if you don't know, Chronicles, what it basically is a retelling of Samuel and Kings in a shortened version from a different perspective. And so a lot of the stories will line up, but a lot of the stories are told differently. There's different emphases, different factors that are at play that are animating the stories. It's really kind of a fascinating take. I encourage you to read it. It's in many ways, it's a quicker way to get the history of Israel. But on the other hand, you miss a lot of the important details from Samuel and Kings. So anyway, give that a shot. But 1 Chronicles 17 is from David, and it's kind of like a prayer from David, and it's an important moment where David is where God makes the covenant with David, and there's a prayer, and it's just beautiful and it's important, and it kind of sums up a lot of things that are happening. But then, and this is what makes this week extra interesting, on your card it will say 2 Chronicles 26, and that's a typo. It's supposed to be 2 Chronicles 36. If you want to read 26, God bless you, you should. It's great. It's about King Uzziah, important character. But 2 Chronicles 36 is what I meant to have you read, because this is about the fall of the southern kingdom of Israel. It's about the fall of Judah, and it is super important, and it really sums up what happened in Judah and why they were in exile. And again, as New Testament readers, it gives a lot of a kind of imaginative context as to why Judah, Jerusalem, the area where Jesus' ministry, his ministry around Jerusalem happened, the feeling of the people of Judah at that time, it was a mess. And it's all there in 2 Chronicles 36, not 26. And then you get, even at the end of that, you get the end of that story, which is when King Cyrus of Persia comes and conquers the Babylonians, who conquered Judah, took them into exile. Cyrus from Persia conquers the Babylonians, and then Cyrus eventually frees the Israelites, the Judeans, to go back to Jerusalem if they so choose. All right, so that's 2 Chronicles 36. But then on Friday, and again, we are flying over. Friday, we read one chapter from the book of Nehemiah. Ezra and Nehemiah are kind of continued histories after Cyrus freed the Babylonian exiles to go back to Jerusalem. Ezra is more or less the story of how some of them did that. Nehemiah is the story of one guy who is working in the Persian government at that point, who sees that the walls are in terrible condition, and they're Jerusalem's walls. It's where God's supposed to live, and so he wants to go back and rebuild the walls. But Nehemiah chapter 9 is what we're reading. And the fascinating thing about Nehemiah chapter 9 is it's more or less in one chapter a kind of theological, biblical reflection on the history of Israel and kind of what got them into the situation. And it's awesome, and it's beautiful, and it's worth really spending time reading. It's kind of Nehemiah's summary of the confession of the people of Israel, of what went wrong, and of God's faithfulness and his covenant and steadfast love and his purpose even in and through it. Like I said, this week is a wild week of reading, not least because of my typo. But yeah, enjoy this week of reading. Check out the Bible Project's videos on Kings, Chronicles, Nehemiah, Ezra and Nehemiah. Ask me questions. Would love to have you talk about this together. All right. Have a fantastic week of reading.